Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our session on how to reinforce your CRM strategy in these trying times. I am Eric Gale. I am the Director of Sales Enablement at Creatio, and I'm excited to be joined today by my good friend Sam Biardo from Technology Advisors. And we'll let Sam give a quick introduction in a minute, but wanted to just quickly review our agenda for our call today. We'll be going over, quick introduction to ourselves. We'll be talking about the impact of, the current pandemic crisis on the market, and also how the crisis is affecting both our marketing strategies as well as our sales processes, team, and structure. And we'll also be opening it up to some Q&A at the end. So, please, have some questions ready for Sam and I. We'd love to have a great conversation. So, Sam, I'm going to turn it over to you to give a quick introduction to yourself as well as Technology Advisors.
Sure. Well, Technology Advisors is as old as dinosaurs. We were probably one of the first CRM companies around. We literally started in '91 and started working immediately in the area, consulting in the area of sales and marketing, initially building custom solutions to the point where we've worked with great companies like Creatio. And so we take a more of a university approach, since I used to be a college professor, to everything. But we want to talk more about this topic. So I'm going to give you the 1-minute commercial about Technology Advisors. So next slide. Can I do that? I guess I can do that. Sorry.
I can get it for you, Sam. No problem. There you go.
Yeah, so we've been around forever. Like I said, we've been a Creatio partner for 6 years now. We leave that at 5+ because then until it gets to 10, really, we're a top tier partner for them. We have a very formal customer success program that makes our customers hopefully some of the happiest. We have a training center in Chicago that no one's going to visit until this problem with coronavirus is over. But if you ever need a training center, we have one. We are specialists in data migration and integration. We provide our customers with free full-time support, and we are experts in CRM and best practices. Eric, to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Great introduction. And just for everybody's enjoyment here, I am Eric Gale, Global Head of Sales Enablement at Creatio. My responsibility is to work with our sales, marketing, and operations team to make sure that all 3 areas of our business are aligned with our go-to-market strategy. Been working in and around CRM for a number of years. I know the picture doesn't show it, but I do have the gray hairs to prove it. So just a little bit about Creatio. We are a global organization headquartered here in Boston, Massachusetts, where I sit, but we do have 5 offices around the globe to help support the thousands of customers that have chosen Creatio as their platform of choice. We currently have 650 employees and also 700 tremendous partners like Sam and Technology Advisors that help us extend our reach into 110 countries. We both from a company as well as a platform perspective have been highly recognized, including being named to 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants and 7 Forrester Waves. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. 2019 was a great year in terms of recognition from Gartner. We were named as a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Salesforce automation as well as lead management. But we were also recognized in 3 additional categories, 2 for our capabilities surrounding low-code and business process management, and then also for customer engagement centers. And very similarly with Forrester, we were named to 7 Forrester Waves. Great news about this is that we were named a strong performer in each of the categories that you see here on the screen. So enough about recognition. Let's move into the meat of the presentation here. So one of the key areas that the COVID-19 crisis has exposed is that many organizations have broken processes. We've also seen that transformational strategies have been accelerated anywhere from 3 to 5 years in some cases, as companies need to become more agile and really adapt to change very quickly in order just to maintain business continuity and keep relationships with their customers. So the pandemic has caused, drastic changes in the way we work, the way we live, the way we learn. Anybody with kids in school have been struggling with this throughout the pandemic. But it's also easily visible when it comes to anyone working within sales, service, marketing, or IT. We're starting to see that long-term transformational strategies have really turned into short-term tactics just to remain afloat as a business. There's been, a dramatic reduction in workforce, which has led to, many skilled customer-facing and IT personnel becoming unemployed. We're also seeing that, sales are declining, while, service requests are going up. If you think of, the airline industry, sales are down, but, people are still trying to, get service on, travel that has been booked. Another, key area that we're seeing is that, marketing budgets are being cut as well. So it's really affecting everybody within, our space of customer relationship management. And it's really faced, or I should say, really forced businesses to find new ways to become more nimble, more adaptable to change. And, what they're looking at is they're looking for technologies that can create efficiencies and, help them survive as an organization. I couldn't agree more with the statement that you see on the screen here from McKinsey & Company. It's really accelerated everybody's path to transformation. And again, most organizations, had some long-term transformational goals, but really have been forced to focus on them much sooner than they had planned. So when we look for ways to, quickly adapt and improve our strategies, we look at 3 key areas: people, processes, and tools. We need to equip and empower workers with what they need to do their job effectively, whether that's equipment, training, anything of that nature. We also need to start to leverage technologies that will streamline and coordinate all of our core business processes and keep them consistent across our organization. And then finally, we need to have agile technologies like low code that can quickly be implemented and modified to meet those changing business requirements in a timely manner. Legacy type systems are just not going to cut it anymore. We need to be very nimble. We need to be agile in the way that we adapt to the challenges that we're seeing today. So in my mind, the key is really about, keeping employees engaged. This is something that's often, overlooked. We focus on the technology, we focus on the customer experience, but, we might forget that, we need to really focus on keeping our employees engaged. So that old adage of, take care of your employees and your employees are going to take care of you has never been more true than, what we're experiencing today. So, there's all kinds of stats, but, engaged employees are, they're more present, productive, they're more in tune with your customers' needs, and also they're more observant of your processes. Again, there's just a ton of statistics out there to back this up, but, the one that I want to point out on the screen right now is that disengaged employees cost American companies $5.5 billion a year. This is really a staggering number if we start to think about that. So we really need to focus on empowering our employees, and then our employees become more engaged, and they'll make sure that we're hitting our goals and our targets. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Sam to share his thoughts on what we should be focusing on in the near and long term. So Sam, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Eric. Really, and
here, I'll help you out, Sam.
my controls aren't working on my end. Really, there's I'm going to go very tactical and talk about, how does it affect your lead generation? How does it affect marketing particularly? And then how is it going to affect your sales organization? So those are really the two areas I'm going to talk about. And the reality is that there are entire forms of marketing that you need to disengage with and try completely different approaches to. And the same thing is true about your sales team. You need to look at your sales processes, your lead qualification processes, and particularly the type of salespeople you've hired to determine if they're going to be successful. So we'll go to the next slide. So we're going to start out by talking a little bit about the lead generation. And there are 40 different types of lead generations. Many of them are face-to-face, and we're going to identify those. A lot of them are very effective for people who are sitting at home all day. And so we're going to talk about those as well. And as you're going to see from the next chart, I've listed all 41 of them actually. So basically, a lot of them are subsets of others. So the traditional marketing refers to your brand promotion across any channel, and outbound marketing is sort of an intrusive promotion, such as print ads, TV ads, cold calling, email blasts. Inbound marketing, on the other hand, is trying to attract customers. And then when you look at that, you say, well, what is inbound? Well, digital is a subset of inbound. So digital marketing is essentially just a different way of reaching that. Inbound marketing could have been in the past, putting out a billboard somewhere and having people come to a website, where digital marketing is trying to attract them through digital. And then that breaks down even into search engine optimization, building out content, social media, creating videos, creating voice marketing, which is using technology such as the Amazon Echo, and I was trying to avoid the A word there, and Google Home, because those you can actually create commercials for those and use that to promote products through those home devices now. And then you have your basic stuff like email, conversational. Conversational can be it could be multi-channel, so you'll find that it could be actually talking to people, but it could also be doing one-on-one chats on Facebook or one-on-one chats through your website. Buzz marketing is about trying to get something to go viral. Influencers are just paying someone to wear your product, and you can go through this whole list, but we're going to point out that there's a few of them that just isn't going to work anymore. And so when we get to the ones that don't work, here they are. In red, guerilla marketing, that is when you actually go to a place like a high traffic location, you open up a booth. A lot of times you would go to your competitor's trade show, which was always my favorite one, and be right across the street from the convention center to entice people. Relationship marketing is where you literally walk the floors around a customer's office, which clearly can't happen since no one's in the office. Campus marketing is when you hire students to promote things when campus is open, which of course that didn't happen this year for a lot of campuses. Event-based marketing, primarily the one, you can still have events, but you can't have live events. So things like breakfast and lunches, conventions, live conventions, chamber of commerce, local speaking events, those are all done. Experimental marketing is where you actually market to a small group by actually you pretending that you're looking for an experience. So I'm sorry. You can actually do things like American Express will have a rock concert that's sponsored by them. So those types of large events just can't happen. And then of course, the last one is field marketing, where you go out and that just, you could still do that, but it's just a lot harder to do that type of marketing that's particularly tied around route selling. But what happens is that I can take the money from that stuff and invest it in these things, because the reality is events are expensive. I read yesterday that IBM was one of the first people to walk away from a conference this year, the security conference in February, and they actually walked away, and it was like $10 million walk away. So now they had $10 million to invest in other things, and that the things that they're investing in, if you look at it, is the things on the list here. So we have first of all inbound marketing, which includes the digital marketing and things like spending money on search engines and improving your website, putting digital ads out there, doing targeted Facebook and LinkedIn advertising, creating videos on YouTube, creating voice commercials for Amazon Echo and Google Home, conversational marketing, spending more money or adding chat to your website so people can have real-time discussions with folks, doing online targeted ads, which is contextual marketing, spending money on affiliate advertising or working with partners, or just creating educational blogs, which is informative marketing. These are really now the most successful things, and I can tell you that we spent the first few months rebuilding one of our entire websites, and have doubled our lead volume, because people are at home, and if you got the right content and you have the right page SEO, people are going to find your website more, because more people are doing searching. It affects you on the sales side. And the first thing is you need to start rethinking your processes. And Eric talked about this earlier, but particularly on the lead side, what is a market qualified lead and what is a sales qualified lead? Just because someone comes to your website doesn't necessarily make them a market qualified lead. And so you really need to step back and think about what is the buyer journey that you have, and when does someone visiting and doing research turn into a lead that you can actually start marketing to? Is that when they just download one piece of content? Is that when they visit certain pages and download some content? So you need to work with your marketing department needs to be working very closely with your website developers and your marketing automation tools to figure out what is the appropriate lead scoring to turn a lead from someone who's just browsing into a market qualified lead. Likewise, market qualified leads are things that your prospecting team would typically handle. That may be your sales team, but a lot of companies it isn't. And so then you have to also analyze, well, what's the event that defines a sales qualified lead? So I know in our organization, if we're talking to the right person of authority, they have can articulate a problem, they have a time frame and a budget, they have basically 2 to 3 of those things, we hand them off to sales. And so you need to figure out what are the things for your organization that you need. The other thing we have to look at is, now as the lead goes to sales, you may have multiple sales processes now. You may have sales processes that are based on product family or based on a specific product. So you need to reevaluate, your sales process. I mean, at the high end, pretty much all sales processes are the same, right? You're qualifying the prospect, you're doing research, you're making a proposal, you're in contract negotiations, or you won and lost it. But the fine nuances of the product themselves will define the steps underneath those, because they may all be different. And you probably want to consider making sales processes for, if not one overall sales process, multiple sales processes based on at least product family. The next thing you need to think about is, after I win the sale, what happens? What is the customer's purchase process experience, and how do I make that positive? You know, I last night bought an Apple TV at like 11 o'clock, and it's going to show up at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So that made my experience really, really good. You know, and so you need to start thinking about, how do I deliver to my customer to provide a very positive experience? How do, you know, if I'm having to produce a product, how do I notify them to keep them engaged throughout the purchase process, from the time they said buy to the time you deliver? And then finally, you want to look at your support and service organization and understand that now this service is probably not going to be live service. So the question now becomes, how do I deliver that service in a do-it-yourself fashion, in an easy way, and how does that affect that delivery process? Oops. So, so areas to improve, will help you improve your sales, is, first of all, think about, how can I use AI to identify customers based on a product mix, or how can I use AI to actually tell me what's the next step I need to think about. So McKinsey Global Institute wrote a paper called Automation Jobs and the Future of Work, and they realized that AI can actually save a salesperson about 40% of time on the sale by actually identifying ideal customers and what products they're likely to buy. They also have learned that machine learning can identify customers with buying signals faster than people can. And by doing that, it allows you to focus on a particular opportunity over another opportunity, because the opportunity the AI has discovered will have a higher chance of closing as a win. So you can now sort of cherry pick your leads and your opportunities to be the most successful ones get closed. And then, based on historical experience and customer profile, learning machines are able now to help you identify what is the next step as part of the sales process, what things you need to do, and when do you need to do them. So it will tell you things like, you know, you've had this proposal out for 3 days, you need to follow up with this customer. And so taking AI and starting embedding that into your sales team by using your historical data really will help you improve your sales. And Creatio, of course, has got a great AI. I'm going to plug you guys a little. The next is, how does this affect your overall sales structure, right? That's the next thing in your organization. And what happens is, really, the outside salespeople are now inside salespeople. They're not visiting clients, or for the most part aren't visiting. So, you know, things that they need to learn is, how do I do remote technology? I think everyone's got this down, I hope, by now. But you know, we need to really, you know, train them and give them effective remote technology. And I'm not only talking about Zooms, but I'm talking about things like different forms of chatting and, you know, different tools. I have a tool on my desktop that lets me do texting with people, you know, things like that. Everyone needs a refresher course on prospecting, you know. So now that we're getting leads, the stuff that we're getting might be market qualified, but not sales qualified. And we need to remember that we're going to have to contact that customer about 21 times before they come back to us. So we need to, you know, remind people that there needs to be sort of a process of drip marketing, along with live phone calls to prospect and find and get a hold of the customer. And again, as we said a few minutes ago, the AI can help you determine things like phone patterns and email patterns. I was just at a seminar on prospecting, and one of my takeaways was that if you send someone the same email 2 days in a row, your open rate triples. And so, we're I know internally doing that to people now. And I would think it would have a negative effect, but it really doesn't. You have to create your own personal brand now. So you need to start thinking about, I can't go around and talk to people and take them out to lunch and build that level of trust that I did through relationship building. Now I have to build a brand. And so you need to think about writing blog articles, building out content, being on social media and promoting your product, and becoming an expert, because that's how you build trust now when you can't sit down and have lunch with somebody. Building your own personal brand, you have to become an educator. That leads to building trust. That lets you build a relationship, and that generates the sale. So how do I become that educator? Well, you need to be active on social media. You need to write blogs. You need to give webinars to your customers. And you need to be really a trusted advisor, because it's difficult to become a trusted advisor remotely. All this other stuff will help. Doing podcasts, being guests on podcasts, creating YouTube videos. So now we're going to explore a little bit about what happens to field service or field sales. And this is field sales are primarily route selling. I'm going to visit the client, I'm selling them a product, I'm going to give them samples. And the reality is that in a lot of businesses, you still have to have field sales. So if you're in the food business, it's almost impossible not to have field sales. But what you really want to focus on is, how do you minimize the time you're spending out in the field? So first thing you need to do is look at your field sales process, and you need to break down things that are in person and things that can be done remotely. So, if I'm delivering, samples of corn chips, in the past, I might have sent a salesperson out to the store with a bunch of samples to hand to the manager, but now maybe that's a phone call with the manager and samples being delivered via the mail versus doing the route with a follow-up call. Or maybe it's just a small in-person visit after you've prepped them by providing them with the samples. So you would have a call, send the samples, and then come on site. But that whole process has really changed, and you have to think about now, well, how are you taking the order? Is it going to be something they can do online? So you may have to rethink your internal processes for that. And then remember, some people aren't want to meet with you, so be respectful of that. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the impact on your sales team itself. And with that, I'm going to look a little bit at the Challenger selling. I don't know if you haven't read Challenger Sales, you probably should, but this is really there's 5 types of salespeople. There's the classic rep, relationship builder, who builds and advocates internally for you and makes relationships with its prospect by going on site and talking with many people to build up a relationship with the organization. Then there's the reactive problem solver, highly detailed oriented, reliably responds to any questions and ensures that any problems that the customer sees in the products, there's an answer for and has been resolved. Then you have the hard worker. That's the person who really doesn't give up, very self-motivated, interested in feedback and personal development. This personality is the grinder sales rep. Then you have the lone wolf, the guy who goes out and occasionally wins a big deal, but works on his own, really doesn't follow your processes, um, is the person who is very hard to manage. Many times these are the people who actually don't use their CRM, and so you really have no clue what they're working on. And then finally you have a challenger. And a challenger is someone who looks at the sales from a different perspective. He will educate the customer. The challengers are people who say, well, I understand your position, but that those are your challengers, and they have a strong understanding of the customer's business. And when you actually look at people who are in these categories, you're going to find, based on the book, the challengers and the reactive problem solvers are the most effective salespeople, and the lone wolves and the relationship builders are the least effective in sales. So we're just going to look onto that and say, yeah, so if I look at this, then I have to worry about a relationship builder salesperson. I need to change his skill set because he's not going to have the opportunity to build that relationship anymore. It's very difficult to build a relationship without having that persona that we had talked about earlier, or my personal brand, as I like to say. And that person's just going to have a challenge. Oh, sorry, I forgot to flip this. I thought I had that done. Sorry. And so this is just the type of salesperson that's just not going to be very effective. And so if you have those folks in your organization, you need to start thinking about, how do I turn them into challengers, or how do I turn them into problem solvers? The next one is the lone wolf. And frankly, the reason why the lone wolf's not going to be successful is, now that he's remote, frankly, he's not going to be able to manage them very effectively. And so even though he may be somewhat successful, you're still gonna have a lot of problems, because in a remote world, the lone wolf just does what they want, and without being now back in the office, they do more of what they want, and they're not very effective. So what you want to do is, you want to try to do your best to keep your most successful salespeople, which is going to be your problem solvers and challengers, and they'll have the easiest time adapting. And so when you consider hiring someone or downsizing, right, you want to look at retaining your challengers and reactive problem solvers, or if you're hiring more people, you want to make sure they fall in those two categories. And challengers will probably be the easiest, because frankly, they're already providing education. So creating that personal brand for them is something they've already got well on the path of doing. And the reactive problem solvers, because they're good at solving problems, are the easiest to then turn into challengers and have them create their own personal brand.
Right.
And so we have a question.
Attempt.
And hopefully the questions are working.
There we go. So here we go, guys. We're taking a quick poll. What kind of processes are you automating due to the pandemic? So we'll be interested to see those results. Probably, I'm guessing, a combination of multiple, but we'll see what wins here, Sam. What do you get your money on?
I think the sales process or lead qualification are the two most important things right now. Oops, did I biased it? I might have biased it.
You are an influencer, Sam.
Try to be.
It's a quick minute here to let everybody vote, and then we'll take a look at the results. All right, so Sam, it looked like you were right on the money. Sales processes coming in at 30%. But yeah, I had that along with yeah, approval processes. That was the other thing that I was looking at as well. I think that we need to automate some of that, especially now that we're all remote and can't just walk over and talk to somebody at their desk anymore. So great feedback. Excellent. I think we'll head right back into the presentation here. There we go. And I think I'm up, Sam, right?
Yep.
So just to tell you a little bit about, you know, Creatio and how we're looking at, you know, this view of, you know, our current situation and why we feel, you know, we're positioned to help organizations, you know, move through these trying times, you know, more effectively and more nimbly. And you know, kind of our vision statement that we put out there, and it actually is very fitting to our platform as well. But we really want to enable our customers that they can automate any business idea in minutes. And the way that we want to accomplish that, or we help our customers accomplish that, is through what we call our Creatio superpowers. But these are our key differentiators that enable this rapid change management. So first, the first pillar of our platform is our BPM engine. And this is really where we can orchestrate processes across an entire organization, be able to ensure that everybody from your people, your processes, your tools, applications, and your data is aligned across your organization through best-in-class business process management. The second key pillar, and really is the crown jewel of the Creatio platform, is our low-code application development platform, where you don't necessarily need to be a developer or have any special coding skills. Because of the low-code nature of the platform, it enables you to create business applications and processes very quickly utilizing visual design. And then finally, our fully unified CRM, right? So sales, marketing, and service aligned on a single platform. So it's a single interface and a single customer database to manage all of your customer-facing processes. So we grew our platform from the ground up. We grew these applications utilizing our BPM engine and low-code platform. And what it's enabled us to do is create this unified database of customers, their interactions, their preferences, and enable our customers to utilize that platform to engage better. And this is just a quick snapshot of the platform itself. Again, as I had mentioned, at the foundation is our Studio platform, and that is that low-code application design tool in combination with our business process management engine. And on top of that, we built our full-fledged applications for sales, marketing, and service automation. But we also have over 600 marketplace applications, connectors, templates that have been built utilizing the same technology to extend the core functionality of Creatio into other aspects of your business. And so it's been a great conversation today, guys. And we're going to be having an event coming up on October 28th. It's our Accelerate Global event. It's going to be a very interesting 24-hour live streaming event where we're going to have over 200 sessions in 7 different languages. And we also have over 100 speakers that will be available to provide feedback on digital transformation strategies, as well as help to answer questions about how we form strategies going into the future. So it's a free event. We listed a link here that you can go out, you can register your teams, completely free to your organization. You can pick which such sessions make sense for your team. There's a full calendar of sessions that you can join, and I would encourage everybody to join us on the 28th. Again, should be a very interesting session. I'm committing to 23 and a half hours, I think. Sam, what are you committing to?
I have to sleep, so I'm gonna probably be about 16 hours.
There you go. All right. So with that being said, guys, we'd like to open it up for some Q&A, and I think that we have had some questions coming in through the feedback section here. So if you don't mind, Sam, I'll read off a couple of these, and then we can chime in with our feedback here. So the first question I have is, what will be the defining elements of an effective CRM strategy in 2021 and beyond? I'll take a stab at this one, Sam. And I think, Sam kind of articulated this in his presentation as well, right? We have to start to look at a couple of different things. And I think strategy begins with being aligned across an organization and actually having a strategy. This can't be, CRM strategy can't be driven by, top down in an organization or from the business side to IT. Everybody really needs to be aligned on the strategy for CRM coming into 2021. No longer is it just, business dictating to IT, the different projects and the different capabilities that they need, but the role of IT is taking a bigger stake within that decision-making process. So, what technologies can enable our organization as well. So, having the business side of the house aligned with IT is going to be specifically important. And also, it can't just be top down. It has to be, top down and bottom up as well, because everybody has to buy in to that strategy. So that's the first point I would like to make, is that, you have to align your organization holistically to come up with a strategy in 2021. The second biggest point, I think, for strategy is really surrounding, advanced analytics as well as AI and machine learning. I think that we need to start to have some predictive and prescribed next best actions or next best offer within our CRM to ensure that we're taking advantage of all of the great data that we're collecting in CRM. And Sam talked about this earlier in his presentation as a key pillar for CRM strategy. And I'm seeing more and more customers taking advantage of that. How do we automate things utilizing AI? We've got marketplace applications for bots that can answer service questions with an 85% accuracy. So I see that's the way that we need to move going forward. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I can't agree with you more on this. It's everything is moving faster, and so to keep up, it's basically change or die right now. And to keep up, you need to rethink, how do I generate leads? How do I change my marketing? What's my strategy? How does that integrate with sales? And you got to take advantage of things like AI to get more focused and better results, improving things like close rate and lead conversion rates. And then you need to look at things like low code, because low code becomes critical. If I have to change my organization, the fastest way to do it is on a low code platform. If you have to hand it off to IT and it takes them 2 years to build something, you're out of business. And so those are two critical technologies that really you need to support the changing or redesign of your CRM strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next question, Sam, I'm going to direct this one at you. What are the major challenges businesses face today as a result of the pandemic? I know we talked about a few, but what would you consider the
I think
the largest or major one? Yeah.
I think the first one is, as I pointed out earlier, is business processes have all changed. I'm trying to decide, what size iPad I want, and I feel compelled to go to the Apple store, but I don't want to. So, no matter how I analyze, that's a process that Apple made simple by having actual life-size images on the screen, so I can actually see how big it is. And so that really has helped me make a decision on buying. If that wasn't there, I probably would have been on the fence and done nothing, right? And so you need to rethink your business processes for how people buy, particularly from the buyer's perspective, and then you need to make them easier. That's that simple. And so that means that you need to think about rebuilding and replacing your CRM if it doesn't have an AI, doesn't have good workflow in it, or it doesn't have an AI. This is the time to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind.
Mhm.
Okay, while everyone else is changing, you're going to take longer to change. You're not going to have the tools that you need to be successful. And that's the reason why you need to be thinking about, does my CRM today support me from a workflow or BPM process, and from an AI perspective?
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with that, and it's no longer it can't be a wait and see type of strategy either, Sam. I mean, it's we need to start preparing, for best case, worst case scenarios. Eventually, this pandemic will end, but what about COVID 21? What's going to happen next? Natural disasters, all kinds of disruptions to business. It's no longer, kind of a wait and see, or have this large roadmap of technology that you want to put in place. You really need to have that available now, and start to put plans in place around that now, so we can be prepared going forward. And I also see that a major challenge is, me as a kind of a field sales guy. We can't be out in front of customers anymore. We need to start to build that relationship and trust remotely. And I think that organizations really need to be focused on ways to help build that trust and build those relationships. So to your point, having all of that aligned in a tool, and equipping whether it's a sales guy like me or a service representative with the ability to help build that trust and that relationship is going to be critically important.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. Part of the sales toolkit now is white papers and blog articles, frankly. And so if you're going to become an educator or a challenger from your sales perspective, you need to have those tools in place, which means writing white papers that explain why one approach is better than another. Putting together blog articles that people can find you easier, like how to build an effective customer journey or something. That's something we're working on. But things like that. What are the questions your customers are asking? Write a blog article to answer them,
Mhm.
and that's all going to be helpful as the business changes. Those are the things you're going to need to be an effective salesperson going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the next question I have is actually very interesting, and it's something that I had a question as well as you were talking to one of your slides, Sam. So what tools do we need to keep marketing and sales teams working effectively? My question on that really was surrounding, marketing is such a collaborative, organization. Ideas are, put together around a conference table. Well, we just can't have that now. How do we keep that creative momentum going remotely? So what type of tools do we need in place to be effective?
Well, there's some great whiteboarding tools we've been using. So we have to do a lot of requirements gathering, and therefore we have to do a lot of workshops because we find workshops are the fastest way to get requirements out of a customer. And clearly you can't have a workshop anymore. And so we spent a lot of time looking at different types of tools. We ended up choosing the whiteboarding tool from Lucid because you can train someone on how to use it, and you can effectively use like post-it note metaphors for gathering features and requirements that they want. So I think you're going to need to go look at tools like that, or like Mural, which is another collaborative whiteboarding tool to get your marketing people on like a giant Zoom call. The other thing we found is you can't have all-day meetings anymore. We used to, have strategic planning meetings where we'd lock ourselves up for 3 days in a row. And now we're doing those into more manageable 3-hour meetings multiple days. So we spend about the same amount of time, but we are very focused with very tight agendas. And then, we want to get our marketing and sales team working together. So marketing and sales are participating in building the strategy together, because we want it to be seamless. And so we're doing that by saying, what do our customers want? I can tell you, we've redesigned our website, and we're writing 1 to 2 blogs a week right now. And we've doubled our lead flow in the last 3 months by just rebuilding from the ground up a very focused website on what people are looking for, as opposed to a shingle talking about us. And by adding valuable articles out there on how to do this is really helped us significantly internally at Technology Advisors. And it's something I suggest to everyone. You need to have a solid marketing plan that's completely based on digital marketing, and and then have a sales plan that knows how to qualify and close that. And we even changed all our messaging this year because of the pandemic. So it's really rethinking everything.
Yeah, I agree, and it's I from my perspective at Creatio, from a sales enablement team, it's really about aligning that, and it really is that communication as well, right? So we'd have sales meetings typically before the pandemic, and marketing wasn't part of that. Well, now marketing is an integral part of our sales meetings, right? What is the calendar? How are we aligned? What events, what digital events do we have? How are we aligning our business development team to follow up on those events? And as those leads are generated and handed over to sales, we know where they came from. We know what the messaging was about. We know when the event took place. So really aligning that and making sure that everything is communicated and orchestrated across both functions. So I really appreciate your feedback on that, because it tells me I'm going in the right direction here, Sam. Excellent. All right. So I know we're coming up on the hour, but we got a couple of other good questions here. So the next question is, let me see here. Has a set of tools and technologies used by marketing, or how has the tools that are used by marketing and sales teams changed?
Well, I think we're leaning more, I know we are internally looking at having more processes than we've had before, automated. Approval processes on quotes and things like that is a good example. I know we are doing a lot more data augmentation, because one of the approaches we're focusing on this year is account-based marketing. So we're doing a lot of data augmentation. So if your tool doesn't do that, your CRM doesn't do that, that may be a problem. And then we're starting to use AI to try to identify hidden things in our data that we're not seeing at all. So that's basically what we're focused on. And I think those are the 3 things that your sales and marketing team just has to think, because it's just things have changed. Things are no longer effective or valid. The way you did stuff before isn't going to work going forward.
Yeah, I could agree. And I think that also, just from a technology perspective, if we think about how technology has evolved over the years, from hand-delivered mail to emails to social channels. It really is hard to keep up with all of the new technology that's becoming available. You get platforms like WhatsApp where people are just communicating and running commerce off of. It's going to be those tools that we need to integrate and have brought into our ecosystem very easily. So I know that from our perspective, when we look at sales and marketing, we need to start to bring in these new technologies as they evolve and they become more and more popular. And that's why fully open sourced integration capabilities and the ability to adapt and bring that data into your existing ecosystem are going to be really, really important as well. And that actually is a good segue into the next question as well. So the question is, we mentioned low code. How can you integrate low code capabilities into an existing CRM system? There are multiple ways. I just kind of mentioned that, but I'm going to turn that question over to Sam because this is what he and technology advisors do on a daily basis for customers.
Well, it's simple. It used to be that you'd have like a project manager and then you'd have a couple business analysts, and for each business analyst you'd have 4 or 5 developers. And with low code, that pyramid is now a diamond. And so you still have the project manager, but you have more business analysts and you have less developers. And so because of low code, we see a fundamental shift to having people who understand a customer's business and are very good at certain industries and knowing what customers want and best practices, building almost prototyping capabilities in low code. The Friday after your 24-hour event, we're doing an event called the Coffee Break, and we plan to build out an entire module using low code in less than 30 minutes to show people how powerful low code is. And so it really is, you have an idea in low code, you can create that idea, you can deploy it to 1 or 2 people. If it doesn't work, you can yank it, and if you want to make it better, you can make it better at that point. And that's really the advantage of low code. It's just the next evolution in agile software development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And from our past live events, that used to be an exercise that we used to run as well. At the beginning of the kickoff of the meeting, we'd have a customer give our chief product evangelist a use case, and by the end of the event, or the end of the day, we'd have a developed application that was up and running and would meet the customer requirements. So it just does speak to the development utilizing low code and being able to get applications up and running faster, and what used to take months to or weeks or months to get done can be done in a day utilizing low code. So I know that brings us to the top of the hour, guys. We'd like to thank you again for joining our session today. I thought there was some great information shared by Sam. As always, he's a consummate professional and brings a lot of thought leadership to the team. And don't forget to register for our event coming up on the 28th. So Sam, thank you again, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thank you.